Here we are, 3 episodes into their particular series, and we are finally here at the Secret Six ongoing series. Good God. I don't remember which issue of Secret Six was my first, but I think it was around issue 4 or 5. I was scanning the shelves at a comic shop here in Orlando. Great guys, they're the best. Looking for something to catch my eye. And the Secret Six did, thanks to some great covers by Nicholas Scott and Cliff Chang. I mean, Google the cover to Secret Six issue 1. Chang even works the numeral 6 into the cover artwork. That's clever. I quickly snatched up whatever had been published, and until my discovery of Villains United and the secret Birds of Prey stuff, that was my Secret Six collection. I fell in love with these strange weirdos and their somehow admirable attitudes. And actually, holy crap, I just noticed something. I've been gazing at the cover to issue 1 while I've been writing, just eating it up with my eyes, and noticed something that I've never seen before. The majority of this cover is the surviving members of the Six: Deadshot, Scandal, Ragdoll, and Catman, all of them touched and obscured slightly by the smoke from Deadshot's gun. And hidden very much in the background are 2 more silhouettes! We'll see the team get some new recruits in this arc, rounding out their roster to the full 6, but I never noticed that they were teased back there. I mean, it doesn't help that they're lacking any recognizable features, but still, that's hot. Guys, this is why I like to reread my comics. I'm not even into the actual comic, and I'm already discovering new things about it. I love it. My name is Ben, and this is Comic Book Breakdown episode Secret 6.4, Unhinged. Launched in November of 2009, the Secret Six ongoing series opened with most of the creative team from Birds of Prey. Author Gail Simone writes the whole series, actually, save for one-shot moments by John Ostrander and Paul Cornell. Nicholas Scott and Doug Hazelwood are back for pencils and inks, but this time they're joined by Jason Wright on colors. And right away, let me tell you, this book is gorgeous. I noticed the increased detail, depth, and consideration to the lighting right away. It's hard to improve on an art team that's this excellent, but Jason Wright somehow manages to do it. Issue 1 opens in a strip club called The Bear Trap. We are following a middle-aged man named Mr. Shelton as he's escorted through the building by Aaron and Tig. The pair appears to be identical brothers dressed in plaid suits. Aaron's is orange, Tig's is green. Mr. Shelton is afraid that their employer is going to kill him, but Tig tries to talk him down. Nah, the boss loves you. He says it all the time, right, Aaron? Aaron fantastically can't agree with that statement. When the boss is talking, he's mostly trying not to soil himself. That's why he's in therapy. And his life coach doesn't like negative thinking. It just doesn't help things. Tig jumps back in here, reassuring Shelton of his boss's favor. Tears in his eyes, Shelton descends the stairs into the basement. No one's ever even seen the boss. Aaron shrugs at this. Okay, fine, I was just being uplifting. The brothers then tie blindfolds around each other's eyes, leaving Shelton untouched. The basement is a small, single room. Resting on the well-lit floor is a wooden box with an opened metal latch. Next to the box is a side table with a rotary phone and a small notepad and a pencil on top of it. Aaron tells Shelton to approach the crate, testify, and make things right. Tig cheers him on. Don't let those knees buckle, Mr. Shelton. Aaron then joins in. We're counting on you. Imagine, persevere, achieve. As he moves away, Aaron lights a cigarette. He always liked Mr. Shelton. Tig agrees. Mr. Shelton got him scotch for Christmas. Great guy. Aaron asks if he has the tape recorder, but no, he does not. It's all digital now. As he nears the crate, a voice speaks to Mr. Shelton in clipped sentences. Know who I am? Of course, Mr. Shelton does. You're Junior. You run the whole West Coast from Mississippi to the Pacific. You run it all from here with just that phone and a notepad. Junior explains that they don't like to be seen. Mr. Shelton drops to one knee, repeating the line. The crate opens an inch. "Where is she?" they ask. "Why did you help her steal from me?" Fear turns to anger in Mr. Shelton. He didn't know. She used him, tricked him by telling him that she loved him. She said that Junior wouldn't even miss it. And Junior believes Mr. Shelton. They can trust him. So they'll show him their true self. A hand, clad in black, reaches out and grabs onto Mr. Shelton. As he cries out, Junior says that he has a family, a wife and daughters. They die or you die. Choose. Mr. Shelton screams for them to die, but Junior forces him to say that he chooses them. He shouts it out, and fingers hook into his nose. Junior pulls him inside the crate, his screams escalating. Yes, that is the choice everyone makes. I remember being underwhelmed by this scene the first time that I read it. To be fair, that was 11 years ago, and I was but a young fool. I also didn't take the time to read it like I'm doing here. When you're buying as many comics as I was back then, you read and then move on to the next one pretty quickly. A scene like this takes time to appreciate. It's a nice, creepy, slow build. While Simone has shown her ability to do a lot of storytelling in very little time, this is one of those moments where she takes her time to build a scene and a character. It works because of it too, as it allows the reader to acclimate to the type of story that she's building and the kind of world that story will inhabit. If you didn't guess, Junior is the main villain for this arc. That's why Simone takes her time in introducing them. Not only are they a new power in the broader DC universe, but they're the threat behind the other threats in this story. We need to buy into this character for the rest of the arc to work. So Simone first tells us how influential Junior is through Mr. Shelton's dialogue. Then she shows us, through his fear and pleading, Tig and Aaron's blindfolds, Mr. Shelton bowing, and ultimately, his death. This is reinforced by how strange Junior is. Hidden in a small claustrophobic box, armed with seemingly nothing save a phone and a notepad. We know that Junior is dangerous, but the exact size and shape of that threat is left nebulous to us, making it feel even more dangerous. Tig and Aaron, meanwhile, serve two purposes. The first is to highlight how dangerous their boss is, again, through their dialogues and their actions. But they're also there to subvert our expectations. We get 2 pages of them reassuring Mr. Shelton. If you go into this unaware of who Junior is, then maybe they're right. Maybe Mr. Shelton can reason with Junior and he can save his own skin. But once you know who Junior is, having fully read the arc, then you know that they're lying. They're also pretty funny, in my opinion, so I guess they serve 3 purposes. Somewhere else, Thomas Blake and Floyd Loughton are driving through a rainy night. Blake, the driver, tells Loughton that something bad happened while he was in Africa. We flash back to a naked Blake, blood covering his mouth, knives in his hands. Men lie dead at his feet. A shot of an actual bear trap tells us that these men are poachers. 2 of them beg for mercy, and Blake holds up his claw knife. He isn't going to kill them. Loughton asks how bad it got. Blake tells him that men were killed and left to rot, and worse. And classic Loughton, he doesn't see the problem. Men die all the time. Does Blake expect Deadshot to believe that he cares about these men? And no, he doesn't. Blake says that his actions don't bother him. In fact, he would do it again. Loughton rolls his eyes. Jesus, this is a feelings thing, isn't it? We're going to talk about our feelings? Come on, man. The pair stop at a convenience store for some ice cream and go into a rather long argument about morality. Simone splices this discussion with scenes of Junior and Blake's flashback, so forgive me for my condensing of this story for the discussion. As the pair philosophizes, a gang of skinheads attempt to rob the store. One of them puts a gun to the back of Loughton's head, as up to this point, neither man has acknowledged the robbery. So Loughton excuses himself from the conversation and gives the robber a lesson. He grabs the gun, elbowing the skinhead in the nose. Then he smashes his face through the protective glass of the shop, telling him to respect the gun, at least. Then he demonstrates for the others. Put the gun up against the target, which he does with the shop owner. Then he can see it. The victim knows the deal. If he moves, he's dead. Also, don't scream at them. People hear screaming and they panic. Deadshot orders the employee, Dave, to empty the register. He keeps the money because the skinheads are too stupid to earn it, and then steals an armful of cigarettes because of this place's shocking lack of security features. Then they leave. Without missing a beat, Loughton then turns back to Blake and asks if he's going to go straight. And yeah, he's considering it. Loughton calls bullshit on that. First, then he'd have to kill him. Going unsaid here is the idea that he won't kill him, so he can't be placed in a situation where he has to kill him. Secondly, he just left 2 innocent witnesses in the care of some humiliated racist jackasses and didn't even blink about it. Blake facepalms and swears. He charges inside, claws in hands, slicing through those guys. The final one begs, triggering Blake's experience in Africa. He tells those men, and this guy, that he won't kill them, but he will mark them. Watching this from outside, Loughton is sure that the Justice League will be getting in contact any day now. This is one of those I have a lot to unpack here type of scenes. First off, it's hilarious. I love Blake and Loughton ignoring the robbers. I love Loughton's respect the gun moment, his stealing of the cigarettes, and him playing Blake's conscious here. Hell, I even like Blake being so caught up in his personal funk that he totally pretty much misses all of this. He doesn't care about other people, not really, but he wants to. And that's the crux of this conversation. Blake posits an idea to Loughton. The things that they do, if they are in fact evil, do they do them because there's something wrong with them? Are they missing something that the rest of the world has? And if so, how do they fix that? What's the cure? Once more, Blake's yearning for heroism pushes him to the forefront of our narrative. And don't think that I didn't notice Simone contrasting our leads against racist thieves, somebody generally despised in our society. Their beliefs immediately side us against them and with Blake and Loughton, making our murderers and mutilators seem pretty good in comparison. Loughton argues that in his case, he's an assassin. It's a job to him, not a moral complication. People kill people all of the time, all across the globe, sometimes for no good reason. He points out that Blake isn't one for thinking on this kind of stuff, so why is he worried about it now? Then it clicks for him. Huntress. My purchase of Birds of Prey, issues 104 to 109, totally justified! She shows an interest in Blake, and suddenly he's contemplating a whole life change. He's seen this kind of thing before. And he kind of gets it, suggesting that it's the closest a man can get to doing it with Batman. The scene then moves on to Loughton's lesson. Blake does insist that this isn't about Huntress, but I think that maybe it is? Before the Six's temporary dissolution at the ends of Birds of Prey, we hadn't seen Catman agonize over morality since Villains United. He's comfortable with the Six, and they enable his particularly vicious brand of justice. Only when confronted by a good guy who thinks that he can change does Catman actually consider changing. Otherwise, he doesn't care. We're shown this in the flashback. Alone, by himself in the wilds of Africa, Catman hunts, kills, and mutilates at his leisure. He is justified in this because that's how life in the wilds works. Only when he returns to the, and I'm meaning this literally here, trap of society, does he question his motives. This is then reinforced by the robbery. Catman doesn't save the employees because he honestly does not care about them like he does the big cats in Africa. People, society, and their rules and expectations are foreign and uncomfortable for Blake. So why does he come back to this at all? I think that it's because the only people who actually get him are the Six, and they accept him in a way that no one else does. This scene even indicates that Loughton knows Blake better than he does himself. Blake could have just lived in Africa like Tarzan, but he continues to yearn for friendship, for connections, and to improve and grow. And this makes a man who relies on his instincts question a lot of those same instincts. That crap is fascinating, and I love it, yo! We have one more scene with Junior, and the rest of the book is about the Six, so let's finish Junior's portion. Aaron and Tig, still blindfolded, cross the room and take notes as Junior gives orders. They'll need a garbage bag, cleanser, and a new crate, first of all. They then order them to put Mr. Shelton's body parts in his house where his daughters can find them. They should kill his dog, too. Oh, and leave the tape of him begging for them to die. Junior knows where she, the thief, is going. She also knows that 6 individuals will be transporting her. The thing that she stole is valuable, literally the only thing that Junior cares about. So they're going to need an outfit. Perhaps it's time to enjoy the beautiful weather. Simone continues to heighten Junior's creepiness here, quite successfully, I might add. Of particular interest are the shocked expressions on Tig and Aaron's faces when Junior mentions going out. This is something that either never happens or happens so rarely that they're caught off guard by it. That serves to highlight how important this stolen object is to Junior. Whatever it is, it's a game changer to Junior's operation. Now, I wonder who those 6 people transporting the thief could be. At the House of Secrets, Ragdoll and newcomer BANE are trying to rouse Scandal from a drunken stupor. She's still depressed over the death of Knockout, understandably! But the 6 have a job to do and they need Scandal for it, so it's time to pull it together. She threatens Ragdoll, but she ends up vomiting instead. He then tries to cheer her up by doing some contortions, which just makes her vomit more. If you're wondering how and why big-time Batman villain BANE came to be a member of the Secret Six, then welcome to the club, so am I. I have found nothing in my research to indicate a recruitment scene or how or why BANE got onto the team. I mean, we didn't get one for Harley in Birds of Prey, so why would I expect one here? Both Scandal and BANE appeared in the Salvation Run miniseries, if I'm right, so maybe they met there? But I dunno. My understanding is that Scandal appeared in, the background of one page, so I'm not bothering to get that series. Maybe Simone explains it later on, and I just forgot about it. In any case, that's an adventure we get to go on together. Whee! Catman and Deadshot return from their errand and suit up. Deadshot has still not finished poking Catman about how heroic he was, but Catman ignores him. He helps Scandal out of bed, ignoring her threat to kill him. The 6 take her into a large room where balloons fill the air and a gigantic cake sits on the ground. Swinging his arms wildly, Ragdoll asks Scandal if she realizes what day it is. On cue, a stripper dressed as Knockout bursts out of the cake shouting, "Happy birthday." Guys. Come on, guys. Drunk, with eyes so bloodshot they might as well be red, Scandal actually seems to think that this woman is Knockout. But she's a stripper named Liana. For tonight, though, she is whoever Scandal wants her to be. As Bane and Deadshot help her down from the cake, the big man notes how morally indefensible this action might be. Deadshot agrees, but I think he's more checking Liana out. Loughton then does his best to explain the situation to Scandal, and it's actually kinda sweet. He knows, they all know, actually, how much Scandal misses Knockout and how much she meant to her. And they all miss her and they can't bring her back. So they hired this woman and she's Scandal's for the night. Even if things get weird. Cue the music. That's probably as close to considerate as Deadshot gets. Liana sits down on Scandal's lap and now, close up, she can tell that this woman is not Knockout. But then, it is Knockout? Scandal's even more confused now. Is this real or what? And even Knockout suggests that maybe it's both. Yes, she is dead. And yes, Scandal is drunk and quite probably hallucinating. And maybe, being a new god, Knockout battles the very fabric of reality to speak to her beloved! And maybe she's a woman in love, trying to help her love overcome her loss. She knows how Scandal feels about extra relationship sex, so she gives her a blessing. Take what comfort from this woman, what you can. In reality, though, Scandal pushes Liana away. She can't do this. Deadshot leans towards Catman. She's gonna kill us all. Eyes trained on her, watching, Catman says that she won't kill him. He brought the ice cream. But no fight breaks out. Scandal says that they have a briefing to do. Mount up, you idiots. She smiles as she says that. This was perhaps another cruel gesture done for noble reasons, and Scandal can see that. As the six leave the room, Liana is left with Ragdoll. She is still getting paid for this, yes? Ragdoll then asks about the things getting weird portion of her employment. Down, boy. This scene is so perfectly the Six. Simone ties Catman and Deadshot's early excursion into the scene, referencing the ice cream, that, sadly, no one seems to eat. We also get caught up on Scandal's situation, depressed drinking. Her beloved was killed, and there was no one that she could punish for it. Nothing could be done, so she gets wasted. Can't say that I blame her. While getting a stripper to dress as Knockout is, in theory, a terrible idea, it does pay off here. Liana's likeness to Knockout triggers Scandal's mind. Whether she actually saw and spoke to Knockout is up for debate. Knockout, and Simone, suggest every explanation possible this vision. All of them could be true. None of them could be true. The reality of the situation isn't what's important, though. What Scandal takes away from it is, and that's Knockout's blessing to be happy. Scandal hasn't, and won't, stop loving Knockout, but she doesn't have to mourn her loss forever either. Simone has finished, at this point, the main goal of the issue. For longtime readers who know these characters and care for them, this has all been catch-up. Simone has covered all of the changes her team has been through and introduced who they are. For new readers, this is especially important. The first issue of a comic always sells the best, with sales gradually lowering over time. So there's a good chance that more people will read this one issue of The Secret Six than any other issue. New readers now know who everyone is, their relationships to each other, and where the team is at right now. Time to move forward. Scandal has taken a job from, maybe, the Penguin. The Six are to break a woman named Tarantula out of Alcatraz, a metahuman prison. They are then to transport her from San Francisco to Gotham with check-ins at Las Vegas and Austin. They must deliver her in 2 days' time, giving them only 1 day to plan her breakout. They will rendezvous with their sixth member in Vegas. Scandal makes it a point to look at Deadshot when she says that the new recruit also has poor judgment but means well. Catman's phone rings. He answers, and it's the Huntress? She's busting chops as she talks, fighting some thugs. She warns Blake not to take the Tarantula job. The guy behind this is a monster. He will never let them have the card. There is a $10 million bounty on the Six. All 6 of them. The amount of heat coming down on them will be more than they can possibly bear. The guy is called Junior, and even the inmates at Arkham, famed mental institution in the DC universe, pee their pants when they talk about this guy. And if that isn't enough trouble for one job, the Bat knows. She hangs up immediately after that. Huntress looks to the rooftop that she stands upon, stating that she wants him to know that she hated doing that. Batman, wrapped in his cape and shadows, is indifferent. That card heralds a bloodbath, one that no one involved can escape. Especially Thomas Blake. Ooh. What I particularly appreciate here are the layers. Simone introduces and sets up Junior as someone to be feared. She then intros the Six, spending half of that time with Deadshot and Catman blithely stopping a robbery. This shows us their skill level. They're more than competent. Junior is dangerous, sure, but so are the Six. Having Batman warn them off ups the threat level again. Each one of those elements builds on the last, upping the ante every time. The only real question I have lingering is why Batman gives a crap. This is the first time that the Six and Batman are even remotely connected to each other, despite Catman and Bane both being Batman villains. So the idea that Batman would care enough to warn his enemies, especially in a way that so clearly bothers an ally like the Huntress, doesn't sound right to me. Plus, the Six are anti-authoritarian enough that telling them not to take a job just incentivizes them to take the job. Or is that the point? Maybe Batman can't get involved in this, so he uses the Six to disrupt whatever the job is? I can see Batman being that manipulative for sure. The only real complaint I have otherwise is so small that I thought to ignore it. But I can't let Simone slide just because I love this book. We're told that today is A, Scandal's birthday, and that B, The Six need her for this job. That's pretty coincidental to me. I'd have loved it if, after sobering up a bit, Scandal called them out on celebrating on her not birthday. But she doesn't, so that leads me to believe that this really is her birthday. This is further complicated by Scandal stating at the briefing that she is the one who arranged the job. But she was clearly drunk at the start of this, and from conversation cues, this has clearly been going on for a while. In Simone's defense, we have no timeline since the Birds of Prey appearances that they made. This could be 6 days after Knockout's death, 6 months, or 6 years. I have no idea. It is possible that Scandal was previously sober enough to arrange the job, then got depressed, and then drank until she couldn't stand up. But if she's the one doing the arranging, and she's the one who knows all of the details, then how do the others even know that she needs to sober up in order to tell them the details of the job? They wouldn't know there is a job if she didn't tell them. And again, perhaps she did inform them before she started drinking, and we just didn't get to see it. This is a very off-panel mess, which is why I almost breezed right by it, but it is a mess nonetheless. It's okay to like something and still critique it, and I still enjoy this comic a lot, so we're all good. Issue 2 starts off in Gotham. It's a shot right out of a Batman book. We're on a rooftop, overlooking the large, blocky buildings at night, underlit by street traffic below. His cape is swept to one side, Batman watching the night, a silent gargoyle to his left. He doesn't react to the presence behind him, but he does tell Catman that he knows he's there. Well, I mean, only because Catman let him know. Hoo-hoo, 3rd grade style comeback, Blake. Nice. As Catman approaches, he can smell cilantro and cumin? Are we standing on a Mexican restaurant? No? Well, that is weird. Batman ignores him, asking why he's there and how he found him. Blake explains that he's the best tracker in the world, no offense, and then he gets into the why. Blake appreciates the myth that Batman has built around himself. Respects it, even. Once upon a time, he even believed in it. He probably still believes in it a little, and that respect has brought him here. He's not one of Gotham's little sheep protected by Batman or someone like the Joker obsessed with him. He doesn't want Batman's warning, nor does he appreciate it. Then he starts a-swinging. Batman reads the punches easily, blocking them. He scoffs. I thought Huntress said you'd been transformed. Oh wait, hang on, let me try. I thought Huntress said you'd been transformed. Catman was just feeling him out. Then he hits him with a devastating left punch. Bane says hello. The pair then tussle for a while, each one giving as well as they're taking. A kick knocks Batman away, giving us a chance to breathe for a moment. Catman gloats that he has the advantage here. He doesn't care if he lives or dies. Batman says, that isn't an advantage at all. He charges Catman, congratulating him on his lucky blows. But how good he is doesn't matter. If the Six take that job, if they go to Alcatraz, then he will shut them down. Catman smiles at this. He better get moving then, 'cause they're already there. It's a fake out! And what a good fake out it is. Simone totally sells us on this being a personal confrontation between the Cat and the Batmen, knowing nothing else. We've been told previously that Catman once fought the Bat to a standstill, and now he's better than ever, so we can believe that he holds his own. We have no reason to suspect anything else is up, so the reveal at the end of this scene works. I'd just like to take a moment to appreciate Nicola Scott's rendition of Batman. I only really started paying attention to Batman with DC's big New 52 push and author Scott Snyder taking over the book, so I don't have much history before that. But modern takes on Batman always have him wearing armor, and it has all of these plates, and it just looks, I don't know, thick, uncomfortable. Like wearing a leather face mask all night is comfortable. But I mean, it feels like Batman is becoming more and more Iron Man-esque as time goes on. So I particularly like the version that I see here. It's a simple black and gray design, it's got the utility belt, with leather boots and gloves. He feels very down-to-earth and human, and, I won't lie, more like the animated series Batman that I know and love. Scott also takes the time to shape his cowl, highlighting its folds and creases with light and shadow. It makes me think of Michael Keaton's Batman, which I'm also fond of. Colorist Jason Wright maintains the light from the streets, giving the roof that the pair fights on a lighter bluish tinge. The coloring is consistent and looks great. All around nice job. The rest of the 6 are dressed as Alcatraz guards and are on their way to the location. Scandal's prepared for every countermeasure that they know about, but there's a strong chance that new measures have been installed. There's a fair chance of death or failure on this mission. Bane notes to his fellows that there is a sadness in Scandal's voice. Loughton thinks that Bane wants to hit that, and believe him, she is not interested. And while Bane does think that love is the answer, he doesn't mean sexual healing. She needs the firm but loving hand of a father. Loughton is caught off guard by that. That is messed up, man. Scandal orders them all to stop whispering. She's never driven Black Manta's flying sub before, and he charged them out the A to rent it. I love the idea of Black Manta renting out his gear. I mean, sure, he's a supervillain bent on ruining the life of Aquaman, but that doesn't mean he can't also be a great business owner. The stealth craft glides up to Alcatraz and the team disembarks. Bane remarks that he doesn't like prisons. Deadshot agrees, but then Bane adds, "They make poor nurseries." This is played for the lols, but it's actually some subtle character work by Simone. Bane grew up in a prison, so his perspective on them as a home is very different from Deadshot's experiences in prison. We've seen Simone do this kind of thing before, rounding out Ragdoll's character with gags, while Deadshot, Catman, and Scandal get the main bit of story time. This stealth ingratiates Bane to us without having him steal the overall narrative. It's some sly comic writing. After a brief argument about who weighs less, Ragdoll or Scandal, Scandal lets Ragdoll get thrown up above the wall. He dispatches the guards easily and then lets his fellows inside. Bane gestures for Scandal to go first, bowing a little bit, and Deadshot catches it. Messed right the hell up. I love how observant Loughton is towards the actions and relations of others, while being so dismissive to how his actions affect other people. The third and final plotline is Junior preparing for their trip. We're basically just checking in, but we'll be back later on towards the end of this issue, so we're going to put a pin in this. The real action is back in Gotham. Catman and Batman continue to fight, eventually falling from their rooftop. Batman fires off a grappling line, but Catman doesn't have that kind of stuff. He kicks off the wall, crosses the street, and rolls to safety at Batman's feet. Batman has been trying to talk him down the whole time that they're doing this. His client isn't after the tarantula, they're after what she has. It's a metal card, and every metahuman criminal on the planet will kill the 6 to get it. Not to mention that there's a $10 million bounty on each of their heads. The 6 are in over their heads on this one. Catman cracks his back after that fall. Did Batman get takeout? Is that what he was smelling? Because he just can't see the Batmobile at a drive-thru. Anger finally shows on the Batman. Don't you understand how dangerous... Oh, sorry. Don't you understand how dangerous this is? Walk away or you are dead. He is trying to save your life. He even offers twice what they're being paid if that's what it'll take to stop the job. But why is he trying? No trick question here, Bats, Catman says. He's not the freaking Riddler. Why are you bothering with all of this? And I love this bit. Batman thought that Blake understood him. He cares about what happens to everybody. Even if that card isn't real, enough people will believe it is to turn Gotham into a war zone. He can't allow that. Batman lands a couple of good punches, willing to put Blake in the hospital if he has to, if it means saving his life. Oh, and since it's so important, he had a burrito. He throws one more punch, but Catman blocks it and backs away. He's done here. Either the others have succeeded in their job, or they're dead. Either way, he doesn't need to buy them time anymore. Batman reaches out emotionally now, saying that the Huntress spoke of Blake's inner conflict. He can still do the right thing here. But Blake flashes back to the dead men in Africa. No, he doesn't think so. Blake thinks that he's been marked. Oh, and he let Batman win, by the way. Just for clarity's sake, this confrontation is shown playing out as the Alcatraz jailbreak does, so I spliced the pieces of it together for the ease of the critique. It's always a bit tricky to have a guest star in any book. Naturally, you want that character to get enough screen time to satisfy the audience, but you can't let them steal the show either, as Black Canary did in Birds of Prey 109. Simone uses Batman well, exploring how Catman views the hero and how that view influences his own life. We get to see the cunning of the Six on display as well, as Catman distracts Batman long enough to keep him from interfering. And we get to see him appeal to Blake's moral divide. This is all great stuff for Catman, but Simone also does a lot of good work with Batman. I love the idea that he wants to save everyone, even his foes. First, he tries to warn Blake off, then he's willing to stop him by force, and finally he makes an appeal to him as a person. Batman knows that Blake is better than this. So be better. But Catman shoots him down, which is surprising. I mean, it was only an issue ago that Blake was considering going good, and here's freaking Batman encouraging that decision. But Blake doesn't go with it. His comment about being marked is especially interesting to me. We're shown/told that Blake marked those poachers in Africa. Even if they repent their crimes, they still bear the weight of their actions. Then Blake asks the difference between normal people and them, noting that there is a difference. But rather than morality being a choice, Blake's response to Batman feels more like a destiny or a curse. Sure, he could choose to be better, but it won't make a difference because he's been marked. He will always carry that with him, so why do anything to pretend otherwise? It's a surprisingly defeatist attitude from a man who not only just fought Batman, but even admits that once upon a time, he would have vomited at the thought of that confrontation. It's a strange, interesting dichotomy, and it's what makes Catman such a fascinating character. At Alcatraz, the Six locate Tarantula and inform her of her impending freedom. She's lying on her bed reading a thick book on California state law and passes. If she leaves here, it's only a matter of time until someone kills her, so no thanks. Prison trustee Mammoth approaches this suspicious group. It should surprise no one to learn that Mammoth has super strength, is like 7 feet tall, and is kind of dumb. His dialogue is great, though. "You gonna escape that lady? Trying to escape her? Not on Mammoth's watch thing!" Naturally, they start fighting. Scandal cuts Tarantula's cell, earning her a punch to the face, but she pulls her out just as the floor gives way. The team recovers, Deadshot telling Bane to use the venom. But he doesn't do that anymore. It's immoral. You might be confused by that, as was I, so I'll come back to that in a minute. While the Six struggle with Mammoth and Tarantula, guards are starting to arrive, forcing Scandal's hand. So she summons Black Manta's craft, smashing it through the wall and into Mammoth. Ouch! I'm assuming that they escape because we immediately bounce back to Junior. The Thin Finger hobbles onto the stage in the strip club, supported by a crutch and the stripper pole. Dressed in a black robe and a white hood, Junior expresses their wishes to the assembled crowd. It's a vivid list, but the point is that they A, want the card back, B, want Tarantula to suffer for stealing it, and C, want her escorts to suffer as well. Do so, and every drop of agony will be worth money from Junior. Lady Vic, remember her from the Secret Six miniseries? And a veritable army of criminals listen to the speech, including former Sixer Cheshire. I think that the Six would have trouble with her alone, much less all the rest of these yahoos. So let's bounce back to Bane for a minute, because all I knew about him going into this was that he used a drug called Venom to enhance his physical strength. In the past, he took over Gotham, broke Batman's back, and was then somehow defeated. Why he didn't use Venom anymore and why he considers it immoral was particularly unknown to me. Research indicates that Bane was addicted to Venom, which led to his eventual arrest and then imprisonment. While in prison, Bane got clean and boof, eventually realizing in his own twisted supervillain way that he wasn't innocent. He was born into the systems that plague him, most notably the prison that he was raised in. He did nothing wrong other than being the son of his father, and so he deserves no punishment. But he won't be broken anymore. Not by Batman, or the prison system, or his dependence on Venom. So he kicked the habit and has remained clean ever since. And for all of the evil, illegal things that Bane has done, that's pretty cool. I would like to point out the huge amount of coincidences that exist between Bane and another famous comic character, Venom. Yeah, Spider-Man's bad guy, you know him. Both are big characters, meaning that they're tall, over-muscled, and generally reliant upon brute strength. Bane uses a substance called Venom to make himself stronger. Eddie Brock uses a symbiote called Venom to make himself stronger. Both of their face coverings are black with large, pointy areas for the eyes. Both of them rationalize their behavior by believing themselves to be innocent victims of the actions of others. Yes, there are many differences, and I'm not going to argue that point. I can't deny it. But I think the amount of similarities is pretty interesting here. So that's Bane's deal. Huzzah. Catman rejoins the Six at an airfield in Marin County in issue 3, 14 miles from Alcatraz. They have Tarantula with them, in costume now, although she is handcuffed. He explains to her that they're going to be transporting her and that they will try to make this as comfortable as possible. But if she runs, Catman threatens to hobble her without anesthesia. Tarantula states that she understands, but Blake doesn't quite buy it. Scandal points out that they're having this conversation in costume and in the open in full view of the ground crew. Catman explains that this is a private airfield, probably owned by him, and that the crew has all been checked out. They'll keep their mouths shut. Cut to 3 bodies shoved barely into a locker that's inside the hangar. There are still employees just outside of it, so I'm not sure what's being implied. Did Catman kill 3 of his employees just to ensure that the rest won't talk? That doesn't really seem like Catman. But he is a costumed criminal. The Six turn their attention back to Tarantula. They need to transport her and a card, so Deadshot holds a gun to her head. Where is the card? While Tarantula resists his questioning, Catman turns to Scandal. What is this card anyway? Why is it so important? Well, it's about the size of a playing card, so that should mean the Joker or the Royal Flush Gang, right? Deadshot continues to press Tarantula for information, but Bane begins to take issue with it. They should not harass a prisoner. It is wrong. He finally threatens Deadshot, and the shootist immediately backs off. Which is fun, because that's when Scandal steps in. They may not be able to hurt the Tarantula, but they know about her sister, and they can hurt her. This finally breaks her. Tarantula tells them that the card is in Petaluma. The Six load up into a limo and take off, unaware of the ground crew's interest in their actions. They pull off their uniforms, revealing themselves as supercriminals. The only one that I can recognize is longtime Wonder Woman foe Cheetah. There's a guy in purple with what looks like a spider on his head, and another in black with a skull on his chest and an electrical bolt next to it. He looks like a slightly more threatening version of Marvel's Electro, but even then, just barely. Electro Skull pulls out his cell phone, calling Junior to inform him of what's up. He believes that they can take the Six now, but Junior orders him not to. They are to follow them and retrieve the card, not to touch them. Electro Skull warns Junior about what he'll do if he misses this bounty because of some stupid leash, but Junior doesn't care. He threatens Electro Skull right back, and it looks like this threat takes. They are to follow and find the card. They are not to take the card. Which is like totally fine. Electro Skull doesn't even believe in the card, so that's cool. That's fine. Whatever, man. As this conversation is happening, Junior is taking the call at a phone booth. A prostitute is outside, basically needing the phone, and she harasses Junior the whole time. She opens the booth door finally, and Junior's hand shoots out. They grab her face, covering her mouth, and twist her head clean off. One panel it's attached. The next, it is not. That's the first real showing of power from Junior. Twisting someone's head off one-handed cannot be easy and should take a lot of force, so Junior must have some kind of enhanced strength. I'm also not sure how long Junior was in that booth waiting for Electro Skull to call, because he clearly called Junior, but I think that he would have had to have known exactly which booth to call in order to do so, right? I mean, my knowledge of calling a phone booth is pretty much just informed by the movie Phone Booth, so I could be wrong. And why does Junior take the call here anyways? We're given no indication of Junior's location, so it's impossible to tell if we're just outside the strip club or not, but why not wait there? It's a great scene, don't get me wrong, it's super fun and really threatening and just a joy to read. I just don't see how or why this call was able to happen. While being transported, Tarantula explains how she got possession of the card. She used to be in the FBI and was trying to nail a West Coast urban legend, Junior. They didn't have proof of Junior's existence, but they did have a witness. The witness gave up Junior's location and told her to kill Junior. Plan a gun, whatever you have to do in order to justify it, and then just shoot until there is nothing left. 'Cause if she didn't, then Junior will kill everything that you love in ways that you don't understand for the rest of your life. Yep, that sounds like Junior. So they raided Junior's place, but it was empty. She saw the empty crate, the notebook, and she knew right then Junior was real. So she went undercover and ended up meeting Mr. Shelton. Deadshot stops her here. Catman has fallen asleep and he doesn't want to wake the guy up. Oh, he's drinking a catnap. We move into Catman's dream, picking up on his flashback sequences. He stands above the two surviving poachers, explaining that he won't kill them, but he is going to mark them. He then blindfolds them and surrounds them with bear traps. They are free to go. They just need to move wisely. One man takes a step and screams, the other turning towards the sound. Backlit by the burning sun, his chest scars and eyes peer from the shadows. Blake's eyes peer at the other man. Your turn. Deadshot snaps him awake as they reach their destination. Dreaming of calico hookers dressed in yarn? Blake blinks. Oh, something like that. Ragdoll then shoves an arm up front. Tarantula bit him and she's stolen his heart. He's even been keeping a dowry in the freezer and Deadshot curses. Don't tell me those things. That's 2 in 1 issue. I gotta start counting those. As the cast move into the house, Catman can feel electricity in the air. Could be a storm. More likely that they were followed. They go inside and we check up on our trio who did in fact follow them. They discuss the likelihood of the card being what it's said to be, but none of them believe in it. They're all here to get paid, not to get some stupid card, okay? And don't think that Electroskull trusts either of them. They betray him, and he'll put a month of bad weather in their brains, summoning an electrical strike to his hand. Okay, dude, point made. Sheesh. Scandal calls their 6th member, informing Jeanette that they have the card. They'll go to Vegas, pick her up, kill anyone in their way, and finish the job. Jeanette lounges on an ornate recliner, a lollipop on her lips. In the background behind her is an overweight senator, bound and gagged, moaning in pleasure. Jeanette says that she'll see Scandal soon. Scandal then examines the card. It's oddly heavy for its size, and there's something written on it. But none of them can make it out, and Scandal reads Latin. So Cheetah volunteers her services. The 6 are obviously caught off guard as she's suddenly in the room, sitting down on the couch. Cheetah explains about her job, the whole hurt the 6 and get the card thing. But if they leave the card for her to have, she'll buy them some time to escape. Tarantula says that she doesn't even believe in the card. Why do you want it? Well, Cheetah isn't taking chances. She has killed a lot of people. She has fought with gods. And she knows that there are punishments coming for it. If this card is what it's supposed to be, then she needs it. Scandal says no. They took the job. They're going to finish it. That's when Bane, who has been circling behind Cheetah during her dialogue, charges her. She shoves him away without even looking. The 6 start to tussle with Cheetah, oblivious to Electroskull and Purple Spider Sniper approaching. Electroskull fries the 6's limo, ranting about wanting the card. Purple Spider Sniper is confused. Wait, I thought you said you wanted the money. Well, I lied, Purple Spider Sniper. I lied. He makes his way inside and enters the room that has the brawl in it. Lightning crackling from his hands, he shouts, "Who has the card?" Catman and Deadshot look at each other, then point at Cheetah. She does. Electroskull and Cheetah start to brawl, each calling the other a traitor. This gives the 6 time to mount some horses. Yeah, that's right. And they ride away. It's unclear how far they get when Catman calls for a halt. They are way too conspicuous on horses, which I think is funny because they're all in outlandish costumes, but it's the horses that stand out, sure. He tells Ragdoll to steal a car, something that's normal, and then unmasks as he approaches Tarantula. They tried threatening her. They have all seen the type of muscle that's coming after them now. So please, what is this card? She finally sighs. It was made by Neron, the DC equivalent of Satan in hell. The language that's on it is Aramaic. It's a get out of hell free card. Whoa. Everyone on the team is surprised and impressed by this. This is where issue 3 ends, so we don't get a more in-depth reaction until next issue, but that has to sound good to some of the 6. To me, for this type of book, that is a great conceit. We've seen Catman struggle with morality here already, hence the reminder of his last trip to Africa, so that card probably sounds pretty good to him. Bane may have an interest, but I can't really say that I see Deadshot or Ragdoll coming around. They seem pretty confident in who they are, but that could change with Absolution on the table. I guess we'll see. Also of note in this issue is the first appearance of Jeanette. We get very little information directly told to us, but we're shown quite a bit. First off, she's a woman, and based on her location is involved in some kind of a sexy business. She's dressed in a long leather coat with green inlay, and nice golden buckles run along the front. Her hair is curled and piled atop her head, reminiscent of the Victorian era. She's either really into her roleplay or has some old-school tastes. And she calls Scandal her dear friend, so they clearly have a history. For a one-panel introduction of a brand new character, that's a lot of information conveyed. After Bane's observation of Scandal needing a father figure, this issue starts to ramp that up. When Tarantula tells her tale, Bane states that it is past Scandal's bedtime. She's clearly confused by this and is maybe a bit creeped out. When they reach her safe house, Bane recommends that she eat better and drink less. He seems legit seriously concerned as he delivers these lines, but he never imposes them upon her. This will shape their relationship, and much of the group's relationships with Bane, a lot moving forward. I appreciate that Simone took the time to shape our bad guys some more too. Cheetah acknowledging that there are greater forces out there is neat. She isn't faithful or particularly religious, but she has seen these things with her own eyes, and they scare her. I do wish that we had at least gotten names for them all, though. Purple Spider Sniper did nothing in this fight, which does put him in the best position to follow the 6, but I feel bad calling him Purple Spider Sniper. That's a dumb name, and it takes me a long time to type, so come on. Otherwise, great issue. Let's read some more. Issue 4 opens with our team discussing the card. Is it real? Does it matter? Do they care? Bane says that it should be destroyed. Actions should have consequences. Catman is running his list of sins through his head. Scandal believes that it's superstitious bullsh, but they aren't children. Of course they don't buy into this. So Catman asks her, where do you think Knockout's soul is at right now? How many people did she kill in her life? And what wouldn't you do in order to save her from eternal damnation? Scandal is clearly caught off guard by this question and takes super offense. Deadshot manages to hold her back as she pops her Laminas Pesar, and even he is surprised at Catman asking this question. Tarantula, currently in a loose headlock by Bane, says that this is why they won't survive the card. They might get to Gotham, and they might survive every other freak and criminal out there. But at the end of the day, there are 5 of them, and only 1 of the card. Only 5? Yeah, Ragdoll was sent off to find transportation, and he now arrives in an ice cream truck. He suggests that they remove the fridge, but otherwise is pleased as punch. His arrival deflates the tension of the scene, and the team moves towards the truck. Bane tells Scandal that she can only have 1 ice cream. 1. Meanwhile, Tig and Aaron are transporting Junior. Their boss is inside a burlap sack in the back seat and takes a call from Electro Skull. He warns Junior that Cheetah is off the job and after the card, and more will join her. So Junior doubles the bounty. They then hang up on Electroskull. Tig is shocked at the 20 million per bounty, but Junior's fine with it. After all, they're going to kill whoever does bring the card. They then request a stop at a Catholic church. The six have piled into the back of the ice cream truck, Catman at the wheel. Noting Scandal's dour mood, BANE reveals the tub of butter brickle ice cream that he saved for her. This is the same flavor that Deadshot and Catman were buying in issue 1, by the way. Scandal thanks him, surprised by this, but she's too tired to eat. So BANE tells her to lay her head on his lap. She reacts in disgust, having thought that BANE was different. But he insists. So she does. Ragdoll and Deadshot look at each other in shock as BANE promises to watch over her while she sleeps. This was one of those moments during my initial reading of Secret Six way back when that won me over. This showed me a great depth to BANE that I never expected, and it's super sweet. With Knockout gone, Scandal's closest friend is Deadshot, and that guy is consistently an inconsiderate jerk. So watching this friendship form is pretty great. We cut to a church where Tig and Aaron are escorting the priest into a confessional. This guy is clearly upset at having been awoken in the dead of the night and then being accosted by gun-wielding thugs. But they get him into the booth, and Junior demands absolution. The priest says that he can't just wash those sins away. The sinner must first repent their actions. And Junior won't do that. The priest knows where this is going. He says, not asks, that this person is going to kill him. And Junior confirms it. Holding up his crucifix, the priest forgives him for that. Then Junior breaks through the divider. They then exit the confessional. The backup plan is unworkable. Aaron, meanwhile, is just getting off the phone. Hey, boss, we got good news. They got a tip from one of their numbers runners. The six are going to Vegas, and they've got an hour's head start on them. The six arrive at their destination, the Nocturne Hotel and Casino. As the team exits the truck, Catman asks if Scandal still has the card. This escalates, Blake reaching for one of his knives, but BANE grabs him by the neck. He holds him against the door to the back of the truck, demanding respect for Scandal. She talks BANE down, touching him on the shoulder, so Blake stabs through Scandal's hand. I love BANE's non-reaction to the stab. He just watches and grunts. Deadshot interrupts. This is stupid. The card changes nothing. They are who they are, and no card is going to change that. There is no happy ending for them, so stop pretending. Just ask Dr. Horrible, y'all. Tarantula, sitting on the lip of the truck, smiles. 5 of you. Only 1 card. A well-dressed man named Regan approaches the group. He has been sent by Miss Jeanette to guide them. They have run of the casino, the best of everything, all complimentary, of course. Food, companionship, clothing, if you will only follow me. Catman requests medical aid for his friends, but Scandal turns it down. She'll heal. Blake begins to apologize for before, but she cuts him off. Will they really kill each other over this thing? Inside, we meet Jeanette in person. She and Scandal hug, then the group sit down to eat. BANE, on the other hand, follows Regan to the doctor. As they enter the room, Regan is surprised to find the doctor dead, and Junior, Tig, and Aaron waiting. Tig shoots Regan in the head. The door splinters as BANE shoves into the room, and Junior steps forward. Using a metal stool as their weapon, Junior downs BANE, sticking their fingers into the knife wound. One question, BANE. Your friends. They die or you die. They die or you die. They die or you die. Choose. Which, of course, is when we leave him. The six are eating and having a pleasant enough time with their new host. A red-headed server fills Scandal's drink and then turns into Knockout. She warns Scandal that there are too many. She needs to run. She can't protect her. Then the woman turns back to normal, and it's too late. A tide of supervillains charge into the room, led by Electroskull. And hey, there's Purple Spider Sniper. Everyone starts to fight, including Jeanette, who pulls off King Shark's arm. Holy jeez, man. So, Okay, she has super strength. Got it. Damn. Despite their willingness to keep on fighting, the six don't last long. Cheshire moves through the crowd to Catman. She gives him a peck on the cheek, and the six drop to their knees, foaming at the mouth. She's poisoned the meal. This bitch! You see, this is the kind of reveal that went right over my head on my first read-through. I had never read Villains United or the OG6 miniseries, so this works so much better now. In issue 5, we pick things up with Bane first. He has been chained to an I-beam at a construction site and, politely, had his mask put on. Aaron tries to cheer him up while Junior stands before a pile of bricks doing math. He's disturbingly cheerful, culminating in him prompting Tig to remove his shirt. The pair do, revealing the massive scar on their abdomens. Turns out that they were conjoined twins. At least, until their father decided otherwise. Whew. Sorry for that one, guys. Junior orders them to step aside. They have 508 bricks in total. Junior chucks one at Bane, impacting on his stomach. 507. Junior repeats their demands. The card, the girl, where are your friends? They die, or you die. They die, or you die. Aaron chimes in. If Bane talks, he'll make it fast. 2 to the back of the head, quick and easy, ba-ba. He'll even cover his head with a blanket, just in case his mama sees it on the news. But Bane explains in narration that he has a policy when dealing with the enemy. Quote, give them nothing. Not solace, not mercy, not kindness, not torment, not provisions, and most assuredly, not satisfaction. End quote. Tell me that isn't badass? Just try to tell me. Bane decides that he will die, and states as such. You were at 506? Now, I won't lie, I don't remember the conjoined twin things at all. I've been vaguely enjoying Tig and Aaron so far. They're just so cheerful and friendly for lackeys of a supervillain. But this was obviously a choice by Simone, so where does this choice come from? What story purpose does this reveal serve? My immediate thought is to round out the characters more. While the brothers are entertaining, we don't have an emotional connection with them as readers, and they do work willingly for Junior. We should not like them. So perhaps Simone added this to give us a reason to sympathize with them? Knowing that their father violently cut them apart is pretty traumatic and does garner some sympathy from me. My second thought is that Simone is a very inclusive writer. Scandal is a lesbian, Creote and Birds of Prey is gay, and she'll go on to introduce the asexual tremor in DC's The Movement. Oracle, while not created by Simone, really shone under her writing, as did Vengeance Moth, another wheelchair-using superhero. So I'd say that it's totally possible that Simone wanted to represent twins, or conjoined twins, a type of person not typically shown in comic books. It's a shame that they're villains, but maybe? Out of these two options, I lean towards the first, especially given how this story plays out for them. You'll see. We bounce back to the Nocturne where Jeanette holds Cheshire off of her building. By her hair. Actually, hang on a second. It occurred to me, after a night's sleep, that the opening with Bane doesn't make a lick of sense. We're told that Junior was informed of the Six heading to Vegas, so I can buy that they beat the team there. But Junior has no idea where in Vegas the Six are going, or who they're going to meet, so there's no reason for them to show up at the Nocturne. They also have no idea that Bane would have been wounded either, as that had just happened when they were in the parking lot. So why was Junior and his team waiting in the infirmary? And if they do know that the Six are going to the Nocturne, then why would they kidnap Bane there and then take him away? Junior's line of questioning shows that he wants to know where the Six are, but in order to kidnap Bane, he would have had to have known where the Six are in order to kidnap Bane. As cool as this scene was, there is no storytelling logic behind it. So at the Nocturne, Jeanette is trying to get the antidote from Cheshire. As she does this, our narrative focus shifts to Deadshot, who narrates his experience. This is really the first time that we get a glimpse into his head, so it's kind of notable. Anyway, he narrates off a list of terrible experiences that he's been through, ending on the point that this poisoning is the worst. All of the 6, including Tarantula, minus Bane and Jeanette, are pretty out of it. Deadshot approaches Scandal, hoping that she's got a plan, but she slashes at him, fearing that he wants the card. It feels pretty instinctive to me, it's not a thought-out reaction, but she does growl at him that he can't have it. He actually looks emotionally hurt by the attack. Aww. His narration explains that this is why he doesn't care about other people. The second that you do, you get hurt. Before a fight can break out in earnest, though, Jeanette throws Cheshire against a wall, shattering a mirror. Jeanette picks up a shard of glass. If she doesn't have a cure for the poison in 15 seconds, it's going to go in Cheshire's eye. Cheshire mutters under her breath as she produces the cure. Fat bunch of babies crying over a little poison. Given her manipulative nature and history with the team so far, I don't particularly like Cheshire, but I do think that she's pretty funny here. Bane's interrogation continues apace. Commentary from Tig and Aaron indicates that Bane is starting to lose consciousness. He's fading in and out. Junior isn't worried about that, though, and keeps chucking bricks at him. One of those blows hits his hand, and blood begins to run down his arm. Slickened by said blood, Bane slides his arm free and grabs Aaron in a headlock. Tig draws his pistol, panicking, but Junior blocks his shot. Bane wants to die, Junior says. They won't negotiate. That's okay. Bane had no intention of negotiating. He leans forward and bites a chunk out of Aaron's neck. Holy crap, dude. Colorist Jason Wright paints these 3 panels red, highlighting the murder. Tig screams, demanding to kill Bane, but Junior won't allow it. He puts the gun in his mouth, preparing to kill himself instead, but Junior stops that too. They need Tig to fetch them some scissors. I love Bane's narration here. After he kills Aaron, Bane states that it's difficult for men like them to understand. They have no standard. Bane only does what he knows is right. Which apparently includes biting dudes to death. At the Nocturne, the 6 are recovering from their near-death experience. Scandal asks Jeanette how she got rid of those mercenaries, now that her faculties are coming back to her. Jeanette waves the concern off. Oh, she didn't. They're still rampaging through the casino, trying to find them. But after the 6 dropped due to the poisoning, it gave her staff a chance to pull their weapons out from under the table, and opened fire. Tarantula has the decency to point out the dangers of shooting wildly in the place of her business, potentially killing her customers, but Jeanette is not worried. She can always get more. What's important now is that they need to move. Not only is an army of mercenary supervillains tearing through her casino, but SWAT has been called, and Junior has Bane. Her network has found Junior's car, so the question now is whether or not the 6 need to rescue him. They were just poisoned, Catman points out. They're still pretty weak. Ragdoll, on the other hand, doesn't even like Bane. Deadshot thinks that he's probably dead already. It's time to roll. Scandal is the only one who votes to save him. Sorry, Scandal. Then they're out of time. The criminals have arrived. King Shark can smell them, and he wants payback for his arm. It's growing back, but it's just a little chicken wing looking thing. Give it some time, buddy. So the 6 break down the door and start kicking ass, Catman directing Jeanette to take down King Shark. I love that he seems surprised at this, like he doesn't even realize the threat that he is. Flapping his little proto-arm as fast as he can, Shark can't do much to stop Jeanette from breaking his jaw. Lady Vic escapes through the stairwell, but the 6 quickly finish the fight. Catman knows that the only reason that they're standing right now is because they had Surprise on their side. They need to get Tarantula and the card out. Now. So this time, Scandal says please, and Deadshot lights a cigarette. What the hell? Let's go save the big guy. No. We then immediately jump to saving Bane. He's much weakened, hanging limply in his change, his face covered in cuts. The six just show up and demand to have Bane. Junior ignores their demand, focusing in on Ragdoll. Junior wants to show him something beautiful. Ragdoll comments that Father always did like them best, and that their voice has changed. So Catman is like, wait, this thing is your brother? And Junior disrobes. No. This is Ragdoll's sister. And she is not pretty. Much like Ragdoll, Junior's body is long and thin, emaciated with a lumpy head. She's sewn her eyes and mouth open, revealing sharp, crooked teeth. Small circles of red adorn her cheek, while red triangles are sewn onto her nose and above her eyebrows, like clown makeup. Oh, and she is totally naked, too. This is a fantastically disturbing reveal. I legit had to turn the page when describing her because she creeps me out. I could not keep the page of her reveal just staring at me the whole time I wrote. I am glad that the six went back for Bane. Yes, he is the latest member, but somehow he fits too. Deadshot's narration at the turning point reveals that for every reason he should hate being amongst the six, he doesn't. They're idiots, but hey, so is he. It is a thin bond, but for a guy like Deadshot, it's a pretty powerful one. The first page of issue 6 reinforces Junior's appearance. It is a whole page, but it's built like a broken mirror. The shattered glass reflects Junior over the years, a round-faced youth, a beautiful young woman, and now a scarred criminal overlord. It's a great image informing us of who Junior was and who she is now. That's followed up with a page of the Six's reactions. Catman is disgusted, Deadshot uninterested, Tarantula horrified, and most importantly, a sympathetic Ragdoll. This transformation is news to him. As Deadshot keeps Tig at bay, Ragdoll asks Alex what has happened to her. I love Doll's body language as he speaks. He's still squatting down, as he normally does, but his mask is off, exposing his face. But he holds it before him like a comfort blanket, shielding and protecting him from Junior's visage. Deadshot, on the other hand, is confused to a girl being named Alex, because nicknaming Alexandra or Alexis as Alex is completely unreasonable, and Doll replies that their father wanted another boy. Junior disagrees. Father wished for a son, but what he wanted was a little girl. Realizing now that she's totally exposed herself, Junior suddenly grows self-conscious. She re-robes, giving Ragdoll a chance to say that she was beautiful. Everyone thought so. Junior picks up her hood. She was always ugly inside, like the rest of the family. She just brought it out. Ragdoll tells her that they just want Bane, nothing else. This isn't personal. Catman blocks Scandal as she frees the big man. Junior promises that she'll find them and kill them. But a lot of people have tried, Catman replies, and the six are still standing. Before they go, Doll addresses Junior one last time. He apologizes for failing to protect her. If he had his choice, he would give her the card. The six help Bane out of the construction zone, leaving Tig with Junior. He tries to console his boss. You know, the card is probably a fake. It's not worth it. He just wants to bury his brother, but Junior isn't listening. They saw her. He saw her. She grabs his gun hand, presses the pistol to his eye, and fires. Pervert. Deadshot begins to apologize to Ragdoll on the way out, but Doll cuts him off, addressing him as Floyd. He's really not in the mood. We've seen Doll's contentious relationship with his father during Villains United, and heard how favored his brother was, but Junior is a total unknown. There's a self-awareness to her that I appreciate. The line of being ugly on the inside is some powerful stuff. But she also says that she wants to do what was done to her to every man, woman, and child. We know that Junior has maimed, tortured, killed, eaten, and raped people in her career as a criminal overlord. Which of those was done to her? And while that adds to the horror of who and what Junior is, it doesn't absolve her of her actions. Unwilling to ride in the Six's ice cream truck, Jeanette orders up a limo and they're back on the road. Scandal cradles Bane's beaten face in her lap. He needs a hospital, but Bane denies it. Deadshot suggests shooting him up with some venom. He knows that he has some on him. But Bane denies that, threatening to kill him if he does such a thing. Jeanette leans in. She can tell when one is near death or likely to die. Bane can hear the angels, but he can still recover. Deadshot asks what her deal is, and Jeanette explains that she's a banshee. Ooh, okay, that is not the reveal I was expecting. Jeanette was not born a banshee, she earned it, was given it. It's why she's got the hots for Deadshot and his Deathbringer. Unlacing her boot, Jeanette runs her toes over Deadshot's inner thigh. Flirting accomplished, she then asks who exactly their mysterious client is. Seated by himself, wrapped in his own arms, still wearing his mask, Ragdoll explains what they know. The client is in Gotham, the payment smelled of herring, but the cards are more the Joker's thing. Or, flippantly, he suggests that it could be just some random lunatic. As if it matters. He's clearly still rattled by seeing Junior. Seeing Ragdoll stationary is really weird. Speaking of a random lunatic, a butler approaches his employer with a tray of tea and news of the Six. The camera moves around the chair, revealing the Mad Hatter! Ha ha! Back in the game, baby. Wait, why am I happy about that? The Six manage to drive for 12 hours straight, but have to pit stop at a park. Scandal needs a pee break. Catman gets harassed by a couple's dog, and Jeanette invites Deadshot into the bathroom. He acts confused as to why she's interested in him, but she quickly makes her desires clear. She can tell that they're bonded, and then she goes into why. We flash back to feudal Hungary, where Jeanette was a daughter of a minor lord and lady. They had the titles, but not a lot of money. They sold what they had in order to get her schooled at the local castle called... I'm going to butcher this. Shijete? But the lady of the castle was a sadistic predator. She regularly had local girls brought in and essentially tortured them to death. Except for Jeanette. She was the lady's favorite, you see, and so she got to watch instead. Every one. Until when, one day, the lady would tire of her. She was 9 years old at the time. Jeanette reached out for help. Her ties to nobility were thin, but they existed. The king tried the lady's assistants, and they were burned alive. But the lady escaped punishment. She was confined to her room, never to leave again, but she was to stay alive. And, in her kind, generous, concerned way, Jeanette asked to be her serving girl, to deliver her meals and remove her waste, to care for her lady until the end of her days. She was allowed to do so, and so Jeanette added crushed glass to every meal. It took years for the lady to die, and there was never-ending pain for those years. But Jeanette remained her favorite. Forever. Was Simone just saving all of the terrible, horrible backstories for one issue? Just lather all of that heartbreak and suffering on like butter onto a biscuit? I mean, it's a touching reveal, it's well done, but space it out. Yeesh, man. And it's shockingly fast, too. We haven't gotten this kind of info dump on a member of the Six ever. I mean, Scandal had practically a whole mini-series to explore her motivations, but even Ragdoll is still largely unknown to us. Anyways, the point of this was to endear a new character, Jeanette, to us as quickly as possible. That way, when Deadshot shoots her in the stomach, it's a powerfully bitter blow. 'Cause that's what happens next. Scandal bursts through her stall. Hey, I just noticed that the Laminas Pesar changed in design, but she gets a bullet to the head for it. Deadshot apologizes for doing so, and when Catman rushes inside, Deadshot smashes the hand dryer against his head. He grabs the card off of Scandal, telling her to enjoy hell with her stupid dead girlfriend, and then he heads for the limo. He warns Ragdoll not to move, and Doll is legit surprised at this turn, and so am I. But Doll stays where he is. Tarantula is confused when Deadshot gets into the limo alone, and he tells her to shut up. He starts the car, and then drives it over Ragdoll and into Catman. Then he leaves. Floyd, what the hell, man? I'm with Doll on this one. You said that you didn't want the card. Where is this coming from? I mean, I thought if any of them wasn't going to make a play for the card, it'd have been Floyd. He just seems okay with being himself. But I also thought that Floyd considered the six his friends, but I mean, I'm clearly wrong about that. And as shocking as this turn is, it contradicts Floyd's own narrative from last issue. If that narration hadn't been Floyd's and was, someone commenting on Floyd's motivation instead, or was an ominous, omniscient narrator, I could see that working. Then it would have been a setup for his turn here, but it wasn't. It was Floyd talking to no one but himself. So the next issue better have a flippin' great explanation for this. This particular issue also has an Origins and Omens backup feature. DC, at this time, was beginning to seed story elements for Green Lantern's huge Blackest Night crossover. The Origins and Omens feature ran through 19 of DC's books, and, in short, summarizes the concept/history of that particular book that you're reading, and then hints at things to come. Hence, Origins and Omens. Secret Six's feature is told by the Mad Hatter. Like I said, he covers their origins in Villains United, introduces the characters, including the now gone Knockout and Harley Quinn, and their betrayal of the Hatter. He's talking to someone this entire time, but their identity goes unrevealed until the very end. Hatter starts to rationalize the Six's betrayal. I mean, friends have arguments, right? That's a thing that happens. But just as he decides that he's going to make up with them, his compatriot stands up for him. They humiliated you. They laughed at you. They ridiculed your hats. This shocks and horrifies the Hatter, who now sees what a fool he was. The camera turns around, revealing the other half of this conversation. His top hat. His one true friend. Why do I enjoy this character so much? Who cares? Issue 7 doesn't waste a second of our time. We pick up right where we left off with a severely injured Secret Six. But they are all alive, which is surprising. They rally, steal the van of some hippies, and then give chase. We even get a cute 2-page spread of the Six and Deadshot fighting off their pursuing army of supervillains. It's a fun scene, played mostly for laughs and to save some time. After all, the car needs to reach Gotham, so we've got some ground to cover. As Deadshot approaches the city, he invites Tarantula into the front seat. She might as well be comfortable before she dies, so he lets her uncuff her hands. He also asks after Bane, who was still passed out in the limo when he stole it. I bring that up because Tarantula knows how deadly Deadshot can be, but he's still concerned for someone like Bane. She theorizes that maybe, just maybe, he injured his friends and stole the card because he knows that only death awaits them in Gotham. He didn't betray them. He's saving them. Oh, okay. He denies this, of course. There is only one card. If he is going to die in Gotham, then he might as well be prepared for it. But he's just as scared as damnation as the rest of them. Tarantula gives him a peck on the cheek. He looks more annoyed at this than anything else, asking why she would do that. She leans back. Maybe it's Stockholm Syndrome. Maybe she's just nasty. But she knows that he isn't scared. She had her hand in his pocket, after all. Gross. Deadshot's penis. There's a small detail that I want to highlight here. During their conversation, there are 3 panels of Tarantula and Deadshot. In the second panel, Deadshot is lit up by a car driving in the other direction. This felt weird, as outside cars don't typically show up in a driving interior scene. It's just the kind of detail that goes overlooked. But it's not a coloring error, as Deadshot is inked as if there's light on him. This means that this lighting is intentional, at least by the art team, if not by the writing. And this lighting comes as Tarantula throws out her theory. The creative team is literally shining a light of truth on Deadshot's motivations, confirming them for us, if not for Tarantula. That is crazy, man. Deadshot stops the limo on the bridge going into Gotham, unnerved by the empty streets. This also feeds into my last point. If the roads are empty, who could have driven past them? And also, just so you know, the Hatter is the reason that the roads are empty, clearing the way for the carnage to come. They're only stopped for a moment when the Six's hippie van smashes into the rear of the limo. While Deadshot is reeling, Catman jumps in. He manages to down him, pinning a knife against his throat. Deadshot asks that Catman at least not whine after he kills him. He'd hate to have his bitching on his conscience. Catman, and us readers initially, think the Deadshot is talking tough here. But no, lying on the ground, Deadshot can see the army of villains dropping down from the bridge's support beams. If Catman kills him, then he'd be saving him from a world of hurt. Said army of villains go to work, forcing the Six and Deadshot to ally again, if only for survival. There are some great character moments here, but the real fight starts when Komodo slams Scandal against the limo. Bane wakes up because of this and sees her in danger. Unable to help otherwise, Bane takes some venom. Supercharged, Bane tears through the roof of the limo, screaming in blind rage, and starts breaking things. By things, I mean fingers and spines of these D-listers. There's a particular panel of note that's from Bane's perspective. He sees everyone around him as Batman, and they're all targets. Huntress then shows up with some of her allies in the Birds of Prey. She literally swoops in to save Catman, sweeping him off of his feet, but he slips loose and rolls. She wants to save him, but he isn't leaving. Everyone on this bridge has sinned, and everyone has as much right to that card as the next. As he says this, there are remembered bits of dialogue from the past few issues, all of them being nice, tender character moments. The Six have sinned, but they've done some good things too. Huntress, disappointed by this, looks away. No, they don't deserve the card. And he specifically hasn't repented. She's too late to save him, but at least she tried. I love that Huntress isn't speaking literally. Catman can survive the bridge, and she knows it. She's more concerned with him as a person. She's trying to save his soul. And finally she knows, at least for now, that he can't be saved. This is such a small moment in all of this chaos that it's pretty easy to overlook, but it's so powerful for these two characters. Unfortunately, that's the last we see of Huntress or her bird allies, as Junior has arrived on the scene. She wants the card, and she wants the girl, and if she gets them, some of them will live. But the offer will end soon. Which is when the Mad Hatter arrives. Jesus, any other special appearances we want to throw in here? Batman, maybe? Superman? How about the Challengers of the Fantastic? Why not? Ugh. Deadshot tells Tarantula to get out of here before she gets killed. The Hatter stares down Junior, wanting to be the one who kills the Six. This buys Ragdoll a chance to talk Junior down, but it doesn't work. She snips the tips of his outstretched fingers off, and Ragdoll screams. That's when Bane charges in, grabbing the slippery Junior. The rest of the Six shrug and then jump in as well, doing their best to kill Junior, but she manages to fight them off. In that moment of peace, she screams that the Six have the card, trying to get the villains to start fighting them again. But Tarantula jumps on her, shouting that she has the card. Knowing that Junior's survival here means her death no matter what, Tarantula thinks that her sacrifice might mean that she doesn't go to hell. She chooses that they both die, turning Junior's question on its head. The crowd of villains unleashes a cavalcade of energies, and one I-beam, courtesy of the escaped mammoth, on the women, burning them to death. Their charred corpses fall off the bridge. Scandal tells the others that with the cart gone, there's nothing left to be gained here. But the Hatter is like, what? I manipulated all of this crap so that these supervillains would kill you, not just let you wander off, you fake friends. And Catman is like, what? What are you talking about? Remember, outside of Ragdoll, no one knows what happened to the Hatter in Japan, so this accusation comes from nowhere to Blake's perspective. Ragdoll tells the Hatter that they are friends. Otherwise, would he have found and protected his hat during all of that fighting? The Hatter reaches out in relief, but that's when Dahl frisbees it off the bridge. The Hatter glares at him. Quote, "I really very much dislike you a great deal, sir." Then he leaps off the bridge after it. Lady Vic approaches Scandal, unsure about the card's location. Deadshot is more than willing to let her search him. Jeanette suggests sending King Shark, whose arm has grown back, but whose jaw hasn't healed, to search for Tarantula's body. Maybe they can find it in the river. But everyone's pretty tired, and the money is gone. And maybe the card was a fake. So, the villains let the 6 go. Catman sighs as they leave. What a waste. All that pain and death and nothing to show for it. Scandal agrees, as she taps the card into her top. What a glorious night to be alive. So ends our first arc. I must admit, I'm a bit perplexed on Unhinged as the overall title for the story arc. Does Unhinged refer to Junior, the 6th, the Hatter? Did Gail Simone mean to just refer to everyone in this story? I mean, that's the easiest answer for sure, but I lean more towards its opposite interpretation. The Neuron card makes everyone in this story get unhinged, except for the Secret 6. We see Junior, who hates being looked at so much so that she lives in a box, leave the safety and comfort of her home to travel across the country, get her 2 main lieutenants killed, and risk death to acquire the card. We see the Hatter hire his former friends, aka his future victims, to kidnap Tarantula and set off this whole disaster just to orchestrate enough villains coming together to maybe kill them. And we saw all of the villains attacking them, most notably Cheetah, Electro Skull, and Purple Spider Sniper, turning on one another mere moments from acquiring the card for their own personal salvation. Everyone goes crazy here, except for the 6. Despite some spikes of activity here and there, the 6 remain together. Catman, our most morally conflicted character, stays loyal to the job and the group. Bane doesn't break during his interrogation. Jeanette is willing to give up her life as a successful casino owner to traipse around with these weirdos. Ragdoll, even after learning that Junior is his sister and saying that he'd give her the card if he could, never even moves towards it. Deadshot's theft of it in issue 6 is meant to protect his friends, an ignoble deed done for noble reasons. And I would argue that Scandal's theft of it near the end is as calm and cool as anything. Is she playing the 6 in that scene? Absolutely. Is she unhinged, though? Nope. Let's just hope it doesn't come back to bite her. The biggest things to otherwise come out of this arc are Bane, Jeanette, and Junior as Ragdoll's sister. Once again, I'm not sure how Bane ends up as part of the Secret 6. He's a welcome addition, adding a calm, deliberate sense to a team of hot-headed and impulsive fighters. I'm not sure why he chooses to adopt Scandal. My pet theory is that Bane recognizes another person who has suffered from a lack of a father figure, as Bane himself did, literally punished for his father's crimes. So he reaches out and attempts to be that person for Scandal. It's this love that helps drive Bane, his memory of Scandal napping on his lap, fortifying him against Junior's torture. She's also the reason he breaks his clean streak, denying Venom 3 times in this story, despite a great need for it. Only when Scandal is threatened does he take some, so we'll see how that plays out moving forward. Jeanette is our newest addition. I have to admit, when I first read this, I thought for sure that Tarantula was going to be a member of this team, earning a spot through all of this crap. And there is a part of me that's still disappointed she doesn't get that. But we do get Jeanette instead, and she fits the team well. Another woman on the team is a welcome addition, and she can hold her own against the men. Jeanette is likely stronger than Bane, and her attraction to Deadshot unnerves him. We do learn something of her history, but not all of it. That's okay. That leaves room for us to learn and explore more as the book goes on. It's almost a classic Gail Simone kind of thing to do. To that point, this is the first major story that has anything to do with Ragdoll. Despite running with the team for a while now, we haven't really explored who Ragdoll is or where he comes from. We know that his father hates him, I mean, he tried to kill him in Villains United, and that he has an older brother. But Junior came out of nowhere, and her reveal works because of it. It's clear that Doll didn't even know that Alex had done all of this stuff to herself, as he becomes distant and withdrawn after the reveal. But, despite the enmity that runs through the rest of the family, Doll still cares for her. He tries to connect with her several times, and it's she who rejects him. Ragdoll might be an ugly freak, but he sees no shame in that. Junior thinks that she's an ugly freak, but she fears it too. Hence the hiding, the hatred for everyone, and her need for the card. She clearly was traumatized as a child, but we get very little detail on that. And that's okay, seeing the end result is enough. Simone knows that seeding those details without showing them is the best way to do a horrific touch, and she does it well. Now that I'm fully versed on the Six's backstory, it was great to see Cheshire and Hatter again. Cheshire is a character whose appearance will always lend an air of apprehension in my mind. She's betrayed these people not once, but again and again. She clearly can't be trusted, but she's also never succeeded. There's a playfulness to Cheshire's relationship with the Six that I can appreciate, even if she is trying to kill them. With the Hatter, I'm just glad to have his threat of revenge followed up upon. I hate when someone swears revenge but then takes like 7 years to follow up on it. Where's the initiative? Don't you care? Get off your lazy butt and revenge already. But, even as a Hatter fan, I have to say, this plan sucks. It relies on way too many outside forces doing the actual work, in my opinion. The Hatter, pretending to be the Penguin, maybe, hires the Six to steal Tarantula and the card. This is done not because the Hatter wants the card, but because the card was Junior's. So doing this Six Junior on them, and, due to her reputation, there's reason enough to believe that Junior alone could do the job. But then she brings in an army of supervillains, worsening the odds for the Six. But then the rumors of the card destroy any potential camaraderie these guys could have had, making them much less effective. And after that, it's basically all up to luck. The Hatter is just hoping that everyone else will kill the Six for him. Why didn't he just mind control Junior at the bridge? Or the army of supervillains? Or hell, why not just mind control the Six and have them kill each other? Wouldn't it be far worse to have, say, Scandal kill everyone, then release control of her so that she would know what she did? Then you kill her? The Six have no defense against mind control, so why all of these schemes? It's a decent enough mystery in the book, but the Six aren't driven by a need to know their employer. They're driven, they're mostly driven by a need to survive to see another day and to piss off those who would try to kill them. I don't know. This feels overly complicated and ill thought out on the Hatter's part. Although the Hatter's plans have never worked against Batman, so maybe he's just a bad strategist. I'm still glad to see you, though, Hatter. Better luck next time. Is it weird that I want a buddy cop kind of story starring Ragdoll and the Hatter? Like, they're handcuffed together and have to stop an even more dangerous villain from, destroying hats and monkeys? Destroying monkeys wearing hats? I think it'd be a lot of fun. This arc established a new lineup for the Six, reminded us who these characters are, and did an excellent job of showing us how they relate, both to each other and to the rest of the DC universe as a whole, and what they can do. Now that the groundwork has been laid, it's time to start building. Next week is going to be a shorter episode. I figure after the past few epics, a smaller one may be welcome. Plus, the next 2 issues are largely character-focused, and they're not tied into a larger multi-part story arc, so breaking them into their own thing makes more sense from a narrative standpoint. We'll watch some of the cast go on a double date in issue 8, and then in issue 9, Catman, Bane, and Ragdoll go to Gotham and take a role in the battle for Batman's cowl. Everyone, there are a million podcasts vying for your time and attention, and I'd like to thank you for listening to mine. If you would like to get in touch with me to share a concern, request a series, compliment me, berate me, whatever you like, send me an email at cbbreakdown@gmail.com. Otherwise, thanks for listening.